there is common sense starting to prevail with the understanding that one can't move people from unemployment into what is called decent work in one particular swoop. That there is definitely a value chain that needs to be followed in order to get unemployed people into decent employment. And that would be characterized by things such as obviously skills training, workplace exposure, learnerships, apprenticeships, probation, fixed-term contracts. And so I think what I'm saying is I believe there's an interim period that is a bridging process to ensure a formal channel to the labour market. And it certainly appears from what Gwede Montash has said that, unemployment is the most indecent situation to have.
Well, of course, we've got education and upskilling, the key considerations to take at heart at this stage. And we heard mention in last year's budget of a 10 billion rand fund, and that prospect seemed to have disappeared for a while. It seems to now have been put back on the agenda with the new economic growth plan on the table to subsidize employment opportunities at state-owned enterprises. What are you making of that as an effective mechanism to tackle the current job scenario?
Yeah, my view is basically that the wage subsidy was obviously tabled, as you indicated, some time ago. It certainly was also tabled as part of discussions within the constituent social partners. And I'm pleased that it's back on the table because that's one of the factors that needs to be used to bridge people into employment. Obviously, it appears COSATU are opposed to it. For various reasons, but I think that is critical as part of the social policy going forward to have some form of wage subsidy.
Of course, John, this is to lower the cost of labour and the perceived risk of hiring younger people. And it's hoped that this is a mechanism that will get the private sector, in fact, hiring again. But then we've got various labour bills that are looking to be passed. They're sitting before Parliament and they've come under harsh criticism from various quarters as to what this will do to hiring prospects from the private sector specifically. What's your view on that?
Yeah, my view is quite simple. I do sit at NEDLAC representing business there, so I'm part of the negotiation process. The long story short is that the labour bills certainly undermine a lot of what's contained in the new growth path, and that doesn't come from business, that comes from the regulatory impact assessment that was commissioned by government itself, where the authors of the regulatory impact assessment stated clearly that the current proposed bills, the 4 bills, would not only contravene the Constitution, but certainly would increase the cost of doing business, result in greater unemployment as a result of automation, technology and mechanization. So, the 4 bills are definitely heading in the wrong direction, but it's the start of the process. We've got a year of negotiations lying ahead, so hopefully we can find a good compromise going forward.
Of course, this is in a context where no one wants to be bound by rigidity. We've got 2 key job-creating sectors in the spotlight, construction being one of them, mining as well. What are you expecting in terms of an announcement on that State of the Nation address today on government infrastructure development and its plan in that regard moving forward?
Yeah, well, I think government, as they've indicated, they've got no option but to drive government spending around infrastructure development, which obviously brings construction into it significantly. Our reliance on exporting commodities brings mining into it. So, again, I think the new labour bills that have been tabled seem to increase rigidity in respect of those sectors that require cyclical approaches and flexible approaches to skills as well as employment. So, the construction sector clearly is one of the most cyclical of all. So any attempt to undermine flexibility in the labour market will have a direct, contrast effect to what they want to achieve.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but of course, when it comes to the mining sector, this is a sector that employs more than 500,000 people, and it's that jobs number that's looking to come under increasing pressure. If anything, those nationalisation rhetoric and rhetoric around mining rights are anything to go by moving forward. How are you viewing that scenario? Do you see government taking a clear stance on mining policy after this week's mining indaba in Cape Town?
Yeah, my view is that they have to take a clear policy because that's what the stakeholders are calling for. Things need to be clear. President Zuma's got to deliver on a range of issues, and stakeholders need to know where they stand in that regard. But again, I don't see clarity coming as in an all or nothing. I think there'll be a structured and a balanced approach to that, because with the elections obviously coming up, etc., I think it's wrong, would be politically wrong to alienate stakeholders in any way. And I still think also that a balanced outcome is always the best outcome.